ExamPrep.School, North Carolina Bail Bond Runner Insurance Exam, exam code INSNC-BBR23. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Bail bond procedures, bail bond terminology, fiduciary responsibilities, forfeitures, licensing, NC statutes and regulations pertinent to bail bondsmen, powers and duties of the commissioner, prohibited practices. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under GS 58, which of the following actions falls outside the scope of the Commissioner of Insurance's authority when regulating bail bond runners? A. Ordering suspension or revocation of a bail bond runner's license for violations. B. Issuing a subpoena compelling a bail bond runner to produce financial records. C. Setting the specific bail amount for a criminal defendant's release. D. Adopting standardized bail bond forms and approval requirements for bondsmen. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is based on the statutory delineation of powers. Only the judiciary sets bail amounts, whereas the commissioner may discipline licensees, issue subpoenas, and adopt forms under GS 58. Reason A is not correct. License suspension and revocation are expressly granted as disciplinary tools under the commissioner's enforcement authority. Reason B is not correct. Issuing subpoenas for records is a routine investigative power awarded to the commissioner to enforce compliance. Reason D is not correct. Rulemaking to prescribe and approve bond forms is within the commissioner's regulatory powers under Article 71. Question 2. Which of the following matters falls within the rulemaking authority granted to the commissioner under GS 58 related to bail bond runners? A. Establishing procedures for record keeping and monthly reporting by bail bond agents. B. Setting civil sentencing guidelines for criminal defendants following bond forfeiture. C. Determining court-mandated collateral amounts required for bond issuance. D. Regulating fee schedules imposed by courts for posting bail bonds. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that record-keeping and reporting requirements for bail bond agents are specifically delegated to the commissioner for rulemaking under GS 58. The other options involve judicial or court functions outside this rulemaking scope. Reason B is not correct. Civil sentencing guidelines are determined by judicial statutes, not by the commissioner's rulemaking authority. Reason C is not correct. Collateral amounts are set by courts or negotiated in individual bonds rather than by commissioner rules. Reason D is not correct. Fee schedules imposed by courts are established by the judiciary and fall outside the commissioner's regulatory rulemaking. Question 3. Under North Carolina GS 58, which of the following is a statutory trigger that authorizes the commissioner to initiate a market conduct examination of an insurer? A. A consumer complaint ratio exceeding 1.25 complaints per $1 million of net premiums written. B. The insurer's net loss ratio exceeded 90% in the last annual reporting period. C. The insurer was licensed for less than 2 years. D. The insurer's premium growth exceeded 25% in any single quarter. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is a ratio of consumer complaints to net premiums exceeding the statutory threshold, as specified in GS 58 for triggering a market conduct examination. Reason B is not correct. Net loss ratios are monitored for financial solvency, but are not a statutory trigger for market conduct examinations under GS 58. Reason C is not correct. Length of licensure does not by itself authorize a market conduct examination under the statute. Reason D is not correct. Premium growth rates are not listed among the statutory triggers for initiating a market conduct examination. Question 4. A licensed bail bondsman in North Carolina receives notice that the commissioner will conduct a market conduct examination and has requested access to records related to bail bond transactions. Which of the following records must the licensee provide? A. Reinsurance treaties and agreements with ceding insurers. B. Monthly trust account reconciliation ledgers. C. Records of off-duty personal business transactions. D. Source code documentation for proprietary risk management software. The correct answer is B. The Commissioner's examination authority covers all records associated with bail bond transactions and fiduciary duties, including trust account reconciliation ledgers. Reinsurance agreements, personal business records, and proprietary software documentation are not required under the statutory record inspection provisions for bail bondsmen. Reason A is not correct. Reinsurance agreements relate to ceded risk arrangements rather than the licensee's operational or fiduciary records subject to examination. Reason C is not correct. Personal business transactions are unrelated to statutory insurance or fiduciary records the Commissioner may inspect. Reason D is not correct. Proprietary software documentation is intellectual property not covered by the bail bondsman examination requirements. Question 5. Which of the following is expressly listed as due cause for disciplinary action, including fines or license sanctions, under North Carolina GS 58-2-75? A. Conviction of a misdemeanor unrelated to dishonesty or moral turpitude under state law. B. Willful refusal to submit to an examination of records and affairs by the Commissioner. C. Failure to remit commission shares to another licensed producer in accordance with a written agreement. D. Failing to acknowledge insured inquiries within the statutory deadline set by the Commissioner. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is willful refusal to submit to an examination of records and affairs by the Commissioner, because GS 58-2-75 specifically lists refusal to submit to examinations as due cause for disciplinary sanctions. Reason A is not correct. A misdemeanor unrelated to dishonesty or moral turpitude is not a listed ground for disciplinary action under GS 58-2-75. Reason C is not correct. Failure to remit commission shares, while a fiduciary issue is not expressly cited in GS 58-2-75 as due cause for sanctions. Reason D is not correct. Omitting an acknowledgement of insured inquiries is not enumerated in GS 58-2-75 as a basis for fines or license sanctions. Question 6. Under Article 71 of GS 58, a professional bail bondsman is best defined as which of the following? A. An insurer licensed under GS 58 to underwrite bail bond contracts. B. An individual designated to guarantee bail bond forfeiture obligations as surety for another's bond. C. A person solely acting as an agent between the principal and a surety insurer without indemnification responsibility. D. A person licensed to solicit, negotiate, and execute bail bonds on behalf of a principal in exchange for premium compensation. The correct answer is D. This option correctly defines a professional bail bondsman as one licensed to solicit, negotiate, and execute bail bonds for another in exchange for a premium and to indemnify the principal's obligations. Reason A is not correct. This describes an insurer, not an individual licensed to perform bail bonding services. Reason B is not correct. This describes a surety function, but omits the licensed agent's role in soliciting and executing bonds. Reason C is not correct. This describes an intermediary without the indemnification duty of a licensed bondsman. Question 7. According to the definitions in Article 71 of GS 58, a surety bail bondsman is best described as which of the following? A. A person who posts bail using personal funds without charging a premium. B. An individual who solely solicits bail bond business on behalf of a licensed professional bail bondsman. C. A person licensed as surety who guarantees the performance of a principal by pledging to indemnify the court for bond forfeitures in return for a premium. D. An insurer that provides financial backing for bail bonds issued by a licensed agent. The correct answer is C. This option correctly describes a surety bail bondsman as one licensed to guarantee a principal's performance by indemnifying the court against forfeiture in exchange for a premium. Reason A is not correct. This describes posting bail personally without a premium and not the statutory surety role. Reason B is not correct. This describes a solicitor role but omits the surety's guarantee and indemnification responsibility. Reason D is not correct. This describes an insurer rather than an individual acting as surety. Question 8. A licensed bail bondsman instructs a runner to collect bond applications and premium payments from clients and deliver them to the bondsman's office. According to Article 71, Definitions and Duties of a Runner, which statement accurately describes a permissible duty of the runner? A. Runner may personally post bail on a defendant's behalf without the bondsman's authorization. B. Runner may accept and deliver bond applications and required fees on behalf of a licensed bail bondsman. C. Runner may negotiate and adjust premium rates directly with clients prior to submission. D. Runner may independently file regulatory reports with the commissioner without oversight. The correct answer is B. A runner's role under Article 71 is limited to transporting and delivering bond paperwork and payments for a licensed bail bondsman. Runners are not authorized to post bail personally, negotiate premiums, or file regulatory reports independently. Reason A is not correct. Runner is not authorized to post bail without the licensed bondsman's direct involvement and approval. Reason C is not correct. Runner may deliver applications and fees but may not engage in fee negotiation with clients. Reason D is not correct. Runner lacks authority to file regulatory documents directly with the commissioner without the bondsman's agency. Question 9. Which of the following correctly states the minimum age and residency prerequisites for an initial bail bond runner license application in North Carolina? A. At least 18 years of age and a North Carolina resident for at least 2 years immediately prior to application. B. At least 21 years of age and a North Carolina resident for at least 2 years immediately prior to application. C. At least 18 years of age and a North Carolina resident for at least 1 year immediately prior to application. D. At least 21 years of age and a North Carolina resident for at least 1 year immediately prior to application. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is specified by North Carolina statutes, which require an applicant to be at least 18 years old and to have maintained North Carolina residency for 2 continuous years before applying. Reason B is not correct. That choice sets the age requirement at 21, which exceeds the statutory minimum. Reason C is not correct. That choice understates the residency requirement, which is 2 continuous years, not 1. Reason D is not correct. This combines an overstated age requirement with an understated residency period, both of which conflict with the statute. Question 10. Under North Carolina regulations, which statement best describes the criminal history disclosure requirements for bail bond runner license applicants? A. Any felony convictions or guilty pleas, excluding misdemeanors. B. Only drug-related misdemeanor convictions within the past 10 years. C. Only felony convictions within the past 5 years require disclosure. D. All felony and misdemeanor convictions must be disclosed, except minor traffic offenses. The correct answer is D. The statute mandates disclosure of all convictions, both felonies and misdemeanors, while exempting only minor traffic infractions, ensuring full transparency of the applicant's criminal background. Reason A is not correct. That choice omits misdemeanor convictions, which the statute requires to be disclosed. Reason B is not correct. That choice limits disclosure to drug-related misdemeanors over 10 years, but all misdemeanors must be reported regardless of offense type or time frame. Reason C is not correct. That choice restricts disclosure to felonies within 5 years, whereas the requirement covers all felonies and misdemeanors without a 5-year cutoff. Question 11. An applicant for a North Carolina bail bond runner license is notified by the Department of Public Safety DPS that his fingerprint submission was rejected as illegible. DPS states that the applicant has 30 days to correct the submission. According to state licensing rules, what must the applicant do to comply and avoid delay in his application? A. Wait 90 days before inquiring about the background check status. B. File a written appeal with the Commissioner of Insurance. C. Submit a new fingerprint card and any required resubmission fee to DPS within 30 days of notification. D. Arrange fingerprinting through a private vendor and submit within 90 days. The correct answer is C. North Carolina regulations require applicants to resubmit legible fingerprints and pay any associated fee to DPS within the 30-day period specified in the notification to maintain application processing. Reason A is not correct. Waiting 90 days exceeds the 30-day correction window and risks application denial. Reason B is not correct. Appeals to the Commissioner are not the prescribed remedy for rejected fingerprint submissions. Reason D is not correct. Using a private vendor and a 90-day timeframe ignores the specific 30-day DPS requirement. Question 12. According to North Carolina General Statute 58-71-75, within what period must an insurer file the appointment of a bail bondsman after executing the agency agreement? A. 30 days. B. 15 days. C. 60 days. D. 90 days. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that the insurer must file the appointment within 30 days of executing the agency agreement, as required by GS 58-71-75 to make the appointment effective. Reason B is not correct. Filing within 15 days is too short and is not specified in the statute. Reason C is not correct. 60 days exceeds the time frame set forth by the statute for timely filing. Reason D is not correct. 90 days is not recognized in this context and far surpasses the statutory deadline. Question 13. Which of the following pieces of information is required in the runner supervision affidavit that a North Carolina bail bondsman must file with the Commissioner before employing a runner? A. Runner's state-issued driver's license number. B. Runner's sworn statement of any prior convictions. C. Runner's full residential address. D. Runner's date of birth. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that the runner's full residential address must be included in the supervision affidavit, as mandated by GS 58-71-63 for proper identification and oversight. Reason A is not correct. Driver's license number is not among the items specified by the statute for the affidavit. Reason B is not correct. A sworn statement of prior convictions is not required in the supervision affidavit under the relevant statute. Reason D is not correct. Date of birth is not listed as a mandatory element for the runner supervision affidavit. Question 14. Under GS 58-71-90, which date is the annual deadline for submitting a bail bond runner's renewal application and fee to avoid the imposition of any late penalties? A. July 31st of each year. B. June 30th of each year. C. August 31st of each year. D. December 31st of each year. The correct answer is B. The statute requires bail bond runner license renewals with payment of the prescribed fee to be filed by June 30th each year. Filings received after that date incur late penalties. Reason A is not correct. This date falls after the statutory deadline and represents an unsupported grace period rather than the required due date. Reason C is not correct. This date is associated with a final late renewal cutoff, but is not the initial renewal deadline set by the statute. Reason D is not correct. This date corresponds with a calendar year end, but is unrelated to the licensing renewal schedule in GS 58-71-90. Question 15. Based on the information above, how many of these hours can Charlotte apply toward the 12-hour requirement for her upcoming renewal? A. 12 continuing education hours. B. 11 continuing education hours. C. 14 continuing education hours. D. 9 continuing education hours. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is 11 continuing education hours because only CE completed between January 1st and December 31st of the current licensing period may be applied. The January course applies to the next renewal cycle. Reason A is not correct. Counting all 12 hours, including the January course, incorrectly assumes post-expiry credits apply to the current period. Reason C is not correct. Including all 14 hours fails to exclude the January course, which falls outside the renewal period. Reason D is not correct. Assuming only hours through April omits the November credits that are valid within the period. Question 16. Under North Carolina General Statute 58-71-50B3, a bail bond runner is expressly prohibited from which action inside a detention facility? A. Displaying service brochures in the lobby area for detainees. B. Directly approaching individuals in custody to solicit bond services. C. Collecting a deposit from a detainee without attending a court session. D. Delivering written notices of bond availability to arrested persons' cells. The correct answer is B. The statute specifically bars bail bond runners from directly soliciting business from individuals held in custody. The other actions are not expressly prohibited by that provision. Reason A is not correct. Posting materials in the lobby area is not the direct personal approach the statute prohibits. Reason C is not correct. Collecting deposits without court attendance is regulated elsewhere, but not by the inside facility solicitation ban. Reason D is not correct. Delivering notices to cells is a form of communication, but not the personal in-custody solicitation the statute targets. Question 17. Which of the following payment practices is explicitly forbidden to bail bond runners under North Carolina law regarding referrals? A. Compensating defense attorneys for referring new bond business. B. Offering discounted premiums to clients recommended by prior defendants. C. Providing gift cards to court staff in exchange for client leads. D. Waiving surcharge fees for returning clients who send referrals. The correct answer is A. North Carolina statutes prohibit paying defense attorneys for referrals, whereas offering discounts or waiving certain fees for clients is governed by separate rules but not this referral payment ban. Reason B is not correct. Discounted premiums for referred clients are promotional pricing, not prohibited attorney referral payments. Reason C is not correct. Gift cards to court staff are an improper gratuity, but not the specific referral compensation covered by the statute. Reason D is not correct. Waiving surcharges for returning clients relates to fee structure, not paying third parties for referrals. Question 18. Under North Carolina bail bond regulations, which restriction applies to bail bond runners when contacting family members of an arrestee? A. They are prohibited from initiating bond discussions with family before the defendant's arraignment. B. They may not solicit bond business from family inside any county courthouse. C. They must secure a written waiver before calling any relative for bond-related information. D. They cannot send electronic rate estimates to the detainee's next of kin. The correct answer is A. Regulations forbid bail bond runners from initiating business discussions with an arrestee's family prior to arraignment. The other contact restrictions are not set at that specific stage. Reason B is not correct. Courthouse-based solicitation may be regulated, but the arraignment timing rule is the specific restriction. Reason C is not correct. No written waiver requirement exists for family contact under arraignment rules. Reason D is not correct. Electronic communications aren't singled out. The timing of initiation is the key restriction. Question 19. A bail bond agent instructs Charlie, a non-licensed individual who filed only a runner affidavit but lacks a bail bond license, to enter the county jail and approach detainees to solicit bond business. Charlie distributes business cards and collects contact information from more than a dozen arrestees. Under North Carolina law, which action is the commissioner authorized to take against the agent? A. Mandate additional continuing education courses for the licensee. B. Suspend the agent's license indefinitely for failure to maintain client records. C. Levy a civil penalty and issue a cease and desist order for employing an unlicensed runner. D. Require the runner to complete the licensing examination before further solicitations. The correct answer is C. The commissioner may impose civil penalties and issue cease and desist orders when a licensee uses an unlicensed runner to solicit bail bond business, as such practice is expressly prohibited. Reason A is not correct. Continuing education is not a sanction for employing unlicensed runners. Reason B is not correct. Indefinite license suspension for record-keeping failures does not address the specific runner prohibition. Reason D is not correct. Requiring the runner to take a licensing exam does not remedy the prohibition on using unlicensed individuals. Question 20. A bail bond agent erects a billboard adjacent to the county courthouse reading, "Fast Release Bail Bonds by Allied Surety, negative 3% premium, 24 divided by 7 service. Call 555-987-6543. The billboard displays the business name, surety company name, and the premium rate, but omits the license number issued by the commissioner. Which advertising requirement does this violate? A. Mandatory statement clarifying that bail bonds are not loans. B. Display of the agent's principal business address on outdoor signage. C. Inclusion of the license number assigned by the commissioner in all public advertisements. D. Publication of the surety company's credit rating alongside the premium rate. The correct answer is C. North Carolina regulations require that all bail bond advertisements include the department-issued license number of the agent. Omission of this identifier violates content compliance standards. Reason A is not correct. A clarification that bonds are not loans is not a statutory advertising requirement. Reason B is not correct. Principal business address is not mandated on billboard advertisements for bail bonds. Reason D is not correct. Publishing a surety's credit rating is not required by North Carolina bail bond regulations. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.